Welcome back. It's time for some dueling here on the B stream at the Quake World Championship here at Quakecon 2017. And we have an interesting match to start things off. We got some guy from the BYOC.
Some guy.
He's going to play Fazz.
Some other guy.
What's his name? I think it was Evil.
Oh!
So Fazz Evil going to be playing
B stream with the A game.
Really interesting, isn't
and
it?
the A team.
Yes,
like
on the B stream.
On the B stream. Sorry, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're
Everyone makes mistakes, you know. They didn't realize, which where to put us. But we at least got a really sick game. So it's all good. It's all good. And it's really interesting too because I feel like this iteration of Quake dueling definitely allows a player like Fazz to really do very well. And Fazz is always going to be a world-class dueler, but I think one of the edges that Evil really had was his brute force and mechanics in Quake Live Duel were absolutely out of this world.
It's how do you translate that to this game? Because as we've seen time and time again, the mechanics side of Quake Champions is not as potent. It's not as strong. You can't solely rely on that. So how has he adjusted? He's obviously qualified from the BYOC, which is an achievement. There were some tough names in there.
Well, he's sort of like the finalist of the how many of the last few Quakecons?
Different game, but yeah, he's had to come through the hard road. But he's here. And I'm really excited because Fazz, he's been doing really well, but he hasn't been tested, if that makes sense.
And the thing though is, for me, Fazz's strength was always, I mean, he can have very great aim. He can have all the mechanics and so on and so forth. But it was always like, even if you ignore some of the having great routine and understanding how to in Quake Live run all the items and play strategically and positionally really well, it was reading his opponent that was very good.
Yes.
And that's one of the skill sets I think that's really important to this game, is to quickly work out how your opponent likes to play and how he likes to think, because it's not it's not the same situation, right, as in Quake Live. In Quake Live, you have, okay, there's all these items, I know he's going to run all these. And within that, he's going to have certain decisions that he has to make. And I know which kind of player he is, so I know which sort of decisions he's going to make and how he's going to play against me, so then I'm going to make these decisions to counter that the best way I can. Fazz is great at that, but we don't have all that process here.
It's a different world, yeah, exactly. The game isn't based on the same decision making as we had previously. It's not based on the same item and rotation. It's more about utilizing your abilities in the right situations, taking the right fight, making sure you have a really great position. And they are definitely qualities that Evil has in abundance. It's just how can he then alter his game to maximize that in Quake Champions and then utilize, as we said, his mechanics to the absolute fullest. And for me, it's definitely his rail game where he really stands out. And that's something I think he can use to great effect against Fazz as well, who obviously likes to move around the map extremely quickly with the Anarchy and the Sorlag. So it's up to Evil to make sure he has the right positioning, utilizing that rail in really good defensive positions and not overextending. I think that's where he's really fallen down recently, is that he overextends a little bit too much. And then I think we might see an upset. I don't want to call Evil upsetting Fazz, but technically that's what we've got in our hands.
Yeah, I mean, Fazz, he breezed through the regionals. He had a really easy time of it. Won all of his games, I believe. And Evil's definitely had some trouble. But he has some really insane opponents to play against, the likes of Cooler and so on. So Evil's had a lot of hard routes.
It's been a really tough job to get here, and he was obviously unlucky not to come out of the regionals. But we have him here at Quakecon, and I don't think Fazz would be too happy he got drawn in his group either.
Yeah, it's a very good point. But do you feel like there's a map which is going to be a favorite for one player or the other? I know, of course, if we look at Evil to be overall the more consistent hitter, heavy hitter, then is that going to be more favorable to avoid, well, basically pick the rail maps?
I think so. I would suggest that. The one thing I'm actually particularly interested to see is what is Evil doing now? Because when I last saw him, it was in the clutch meta, the previous patch, and he didn't adjust out of that. That's one of the reasons he fell on Evil in the regionals. He continued to pick clutch when it wasn't its strongest, and since then he's been off the map. He hasn't really entered any online tournaments. He hasn't really done much. He's just been in his home training for Quakecon. And so I'm interested to see how is he adjusted. Is he playing with a Sorlag? Is he playing with an Anarchy? And that will obviously change my judgment. I think the strongest maps I've seen him on is obviously, I think, Blood Covenant. He was playing very, very well when I saw him there. But Fazz is particularly good on that. I would expect Fazz to probably pick Corrupted Key, and that's one of the weaker maps I've seen.
Yeah, so that's the map the only map without a rail.
Exactly.
So isn't that's the reason?
It's partly the reason, but also Evil has been struggling in Quake Champions when he's been forced. He likes to play his own game, and that's quite counterintuitive because in Quake Live he was the one forcing opponents. But I found in Quake Champions he hasn't been that effective when people have been pressuring him. maybe because the stacks are different and aim isn't such a great quality, but people have been able to get on top of him and really pressure him and get under his skin. That's something he's not used to because he's the one that does that to opponents. And Fazz playing extremely quick style with Anarchies, etc. I think he can do that very well on Corrupted Keep.
So do you feel like overall in Quake Champions so far, Fazz is the better jeweler to you?
I would say he's more consistent, yeah, and he has a more rounded and versatile play style.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about Fazz is that he's one of those guys that you hate because he'll sit down and play a game. He might never have played it before, but he'll figure it out like super quick. He's very smart. He's very adaptable. That's one of the skill sets that he has. And again, it's something like it's a skill set which is not going to be emphasized as heavily in a game like Quake Live, where we've had it played for ages. Yeah. If new maps come in, then you're like, oh, hang on, Fazz is going to have an edge on most people because he's going to figure stuff out first. And that's the kind of guy he is.
It's a really great point. And it's one of the things that even in the latter days of Quake Live, Fazz was always innovating new techniques, new jumps, new tricks, and coming into a game like Quake Champions where you have this new domain of abilities and different air movements and different speeds and passives, etc. He's one of the guys to take that step forward and say, oh, you can start doing this, and people have to follow in his footsteps. And this is why we've seen other players such as Strong come to the fore, because he's been really solid in theory crafting ways in which you can use these champions and use his abilities, and he's been leading the way on that front as well. So I do think it's those players that do play more of a cognitive game and really think about the methods behind the game as opposed to just playing the basics, that are taking that forward step and putting other players under pressure.
And it definitely helps as well, considering that Fazz has put a lot of emphasis into playing Sacrifice, and so he split a lot of his practice time into dedicating like massive chunks of every night to play with his team. So he's not played nearly as many duel games, I would imagine, as Evil, who has really only had the duel to be concerned with.
And that might come into play, definitely. I know, for example, Claws and Fazz are two players that have said, we just haven't had the time. Like, Sacrifice is the focus. This is what we can win. But Fazz got here fairly comfortably. Like, he needs to be confident in what he can do. And I think going into this map, seeing Evil come up against him, even though Evil hasn't been doing that well, it might get into his head.
All right, well, I guess it's time to take a quick break. We'll be back very shortly here at the Quake World Championships. See you soon. Right, so we're soon ready to get into the game between Evil and Fazz, and we have the maps to be shown.
Revealed.
To be revealed. There we go.
There we go.
Ruins of Sarnath, Blood Covenant, and then Corrupted Keep. Fazz picking Ruins. So what do you have to say about this, Mr. ZSX?
It's a map where he can use his air movement champions to really great effect. It's probably the original map where we found Anarchy the most effective. It also has a lot of innovation, but it also gives Fazz the chance to keep away from a lot of fights if he doesn't want to. The items are very separated, meaning he can keep Evil at bay, like lock him out the red, lock him out the mega, and play very, very safe. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons behind his thought process, just to feel Evil out. He doesn't really know, maybe he didn't know what shape he's going to be in, so it's quite a safe pick, I think, from Fazz.
All right, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Obviously, I'm going to be leaning more on you for a lot of the insights here. As you know, when all the duels going on, I was like, screw this, man, I'm going to play Sacrifice. So tell you all you want about Sacrifice, but this is going to be really cool to see how these players, who I played against a lot in Quake Live, and casted, of course, a huge amount in Quake Live, how everything really translates for them. And again, I just feel like Fazz should be a guy that should be top. I feel like I could make a prediction that would feel sane in my head, where I see him, getting a top 4 at this Quakecon, just because of the fact that he's a very smart player. And I feel like this game mode is all about just basically just outsmarting your opponent and outplaying them positionally. And again, as you say, I know as well he loves them, like the great movement options from the heroes like Anarchy and Sorlag and so on. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that pans out.
It's a really interesting one, because he's one of those guys where you look at him coming into tournaments, he's always doing well, particularly in Quake Champions now, and it's like, well, Fazz, I could see him top 4, but then when you say it out loud, no disrespect to them,
you don't see him in the finals, don't you?
You're like,
it's true.
Actually, like, is he going to be there? Because he's one of those guys who's just always doing so consistently.
He's like the gatekeeper, man. He'll just take down anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone in the tournament he can beat, but you might never see him in the top 2.
When push comes to shove, it's not choking. It's just there's something missing about his game to really push him to that next level. And I think in the past, for me, it was mechanical skill. I think he's a great player. He can hit his shots, but mechanical skill just wasn't quite there. And his game is very much based on hitting shots. He's quite aggressive, quite in your face, and he sometimes got out aimed and outplayed, and that did make him quite angry. And I think in Quake Champions it does diminish that, and that gives him more opportunities, I think, to use his head, and that pays off quite considerably.
So what lineups are we looking at for both players? Because obviously the meta's changed a bit, so we're not going to see the clutches, we're not going to see the scale bearers as much, and both of the hitbox changes.
Exactly, both of these guys haven't really played a lot of duels, so it's difficult to say. I think from Fazz, the quite safe options would be an Anarchy, a Sorlag, and a Nyx. I think generally it's mandatory in duel to have a Nyx, just because it gives you. I personally don't like playing it. I think it's quite almost a risky champion, particularly with my playstyle, but it gives you the opportunity, particularly in tournament setting, where if you need to slow the game down, it's not going your way, you can just play super passive, you can just hide and keep away. So if you have a 1-0 lead or whatever it is, you can then just sit back on your Nyx. So I think it is definitely mandatory. From Evil, I mean, I don't know. I would assume he's been practicing the likes of the Sorlag, so maybe something like a Sorlag, a ranged Nyx. That's like an Avex style lineup that gives you that opportunity to get in your face. It's almost seen like Sorlag's mandatory, but the recent patch, and I haven't played it yet, has also changed that, because Sorlag got a slight nerf, hitbox has been changed slightly, the LG particularly on LAN is very, very powerful, so we might see Sorlag falling out of the meta, and that's what I imagine seeing as the tournament goes on, is Sorlag falling out of the meta. And we've seen it in the Sacrifice that he wasn't that effective as you've seen him on LAN or previously in the regionals because of these changes. So I think a Ranger and a Nyx might be in there, because I think that suits his style. I haven't seen him duel in a long time though.
I'm quite curious how the LG will come into play in a lot of these spots, because there's a lot of spots as well where if you're if you are that, unless we're going to go to the character select very shortly, and to finish the point, if we are going to see, a player that, let's say, you look at the two players and you match them up mechanically and you're like, hey, this guy has way more mechanical skill. If you've got the smart, if like you've got your Fazz, he's got less, let's say, mechanical skill than Evil, but you can sort of force certain engagements where you make your shots really easy for yourself, and that's sort of what duel has always been about.
I'm so glad I got this completely right. I'm actually really happy with myself.
There you go.
I'm so glad.
You nailed it.
I did nail it, but I think actually on that point, it's something I hadn't thought about before. I've thought about for other guys like Razy and Strength, but Evil is pretty much the king of the lightning gun. Like, it's not necessarily his raw aim, which is also incredible. It's just the way he uses it. And since the recent change, it might give him a new lease of life because he hadn't played on this patch on a tournament yet.
It is interesting. I mean, you know, we're going to jump into the warm-up here, and back in Quake Live, as you say, Evil had this style of rushdown with the LG that no one thought sort of really was possible. But then he would do it and just hit everything, and then you would die, and you'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah, what just happened? I think based on the shorts Evil's wearing, I think I have to actually side with Evil. I hope someone has taken a picture of what Evil's wearing. He looks like he's come straight out of a 70s pool party.
Yeah. Yes, he is wearing like swimming shorts at the moment. I guess he was in the pool earlier.
It's hilarious.
Throw out of place as well.
I'm actually going to have to side with Evil. I think thinking about it in a bit more depth, I think he's got this.
Going for my man Fazz.
Of course you are.
Good friend of mine. We'll see who will be victorious though. Fazz, of course, sweeping up all the weapons initially. And that's really important. I mean, obviously at that point, again, you have this default stack. And he's also keeping track of his opponent's weapons as well. He knows he doesn't have an LG, lands the rail. Although the exchange comes in, Evil also having a rail. So now, it's just about Fazz, having the option to take it easy, get a light armor.
And I imagine for the very start of the tournament, I don't think Fazz will have played Evil for a while, and likewise Evil for Fazz. They're just going to be playing quite tentative, trading items upper and lower, trading rails, and not until they've hit that additional rail can you move in. But again, you have to be particularly careful with the Anarchy and his ability, because obviously you can just heal up, rush away, do some significant damage to you. So I do expect this tentative play to come out of both players until 1 or 2 rounds has passed and they've really tested the waters.
That's a good point as well. Like, you generally want to be able to use your ability to basically get the kill as opposed to escape. Because if you are using it defensively, that sort of means you messed up at some point or your opponent played really well. Exactly. You want to be able to use it to get a finishing kill. Ooh!
Like now he is in serious trouble.
That was a really nice one. And he's also... obviously, you want to ideally get to that point where you can inject and then have effective more than 80 health at default.
Your point about Evil's rushdown with the LG is completely right, but I do think probably the most underrated skill that he has is his positional rails, in that he does hit an insane level of rails anyway, but the angles he hits them from, the positions he takes, and that gives him openings. One of the features of this game obviously is the new abilities, and the fact that you can heal up as an Anarchy diminishes how effective that can be. So he is playing a little bit more passive now, otherwise in the traditional kind of sense of it, he would have pushed in after that rail earlier.
Great rocket there from Fazz, able to push Evil down off the bridge, but the Dyro brings Evil back up into position, but only...
Madman.
Yeah, that's kind of insane. I was going to... Because that's one of those situations where you go in having a plan, and then the situation really changes it, like the direct rocket, but then you still execute the plan from a position where it's kind of bad, because you kind of like... Sometimes you get a bit of stubbornness. I don't know if you've experienced that. I know I have.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, and maybe that was what it was there for Evil, but that definitely wasn't a good call.
No, I'm a bit overconfident with his aim at the moment.
That was close.
Particularly against an Anarchy, just because you're never going to hit anywhere near as much as you can on other champions, and you have to respect that you cannot take the same fights. Yep. And this is something I've spoken about in the past, not directly with you, but...
Ooh. Oh, nice. The damage there was great from Evil, getting just a slither of an angle.
That's the angles of the LG I was talking about. It's not the raw aim, it's just the way in which he uses it in that position where most people would have switched over to a rail. Like, why are you using LG? But it just works. But yeah, as I was saying, you need to respect the matchup. So there's a lot of fights you can't take against an Anarchy that you can take against other champions. So you really have to think about the dynamic of what your matchup is.
Uh-oh, this is bad, very bad for Fazz. Good defensive rail there to get him out of position. But Evil looking to go for the pursuit, and Fazz cleverly using that teleporter to get a better position here, as well as the Mega coming up in 10 seconds. Fazz could be in good stead to take that one as well.
Evil's going to go super aggressive now.
Oh, Fazz in trouble once again, getting zoned away from the Mega health. Doesn't have the Ghost Walk available to him, so Evil's absolutely in the driving seat right now.
Great rocket, really, really great rocket. It means that Fazz can't even risk going up for a peak rail.
One rail and Fazz is done, got to be careful. Evil now making his way down to LG. Oh, just so close.
Evil's fine with this now. He knows the Ghost Walk's back up, so all he has to do is hit a rail and try and push in gently to force the Ghost Walk, and then he can go back to being pretty aggressive.
And this is really bad.
Yeah, this is it.
If a Fazz, yeah, he's in a spot where he's trying to pressure into the Mega there, but of course, having Ghost Walk up, he's able to take that risk, but down to 25 health, and Even in a situation with the Saw lag where he could start to really apply the pressure, I think he knows that the Ghost Walk was used, so he has a good 30 seconds where if he gets an engagement with Fazz, he's going to kill him. So he can afford to go for some rocket jumps here.
He should have switched out to the machine gun there. I mean, he knew Fazz had no armor, so one rail would have put him very, very low, but it doesn't matter. He's on the hunt now. We can see him looking for Fazz because, as you said rightly, he knows the Ghost Walk was used. But by the time he finds him, the Ghost Walk's already back up. And so this is the difficulty on a map. And this is why we said, great rocket by Fazz. They're stopping the aggressive push. But this is why we said Nyx is such an integral pick for Duel. Because Fazz is able to go on the defensive, play hide and seek. And Evil really can't do anything at the moment.
Yeah, that big chunk of damage as Evil was unaware that Fazz was above him was really critical in buying Fazz some time. But still, the major items will go the way of Evil. So it's really about Fazz really just, buying that time, creating a situation where he can have a Ghost Walk up, create another engagement where he can maybe get a commitment, then the Ghost Walk enables him to, if it does go bad, get out and then try again, reset the situation.
Exactly, but the problem is, what do you do? Because if you take one rail as a Nyx, you're in death territory, and this is why I think it's an extremely risky pick as well as a necessary one. I know that's kind of a paradox, but
yeah,
you can't do anything because you're just playing on the back foot and you're waiting for your opponent to make a mistake. And for me, I don't like to play like that. I like to force the game, and we can just see that Fazz can't do that. He hasn't got an item in like 2 minutes now. We're in overtime.
Yeah, and those two rails, I think, I mean, it's pretty easy to hit Sorlag, to be honest, and that's two pretty big misses there from Fazz. He might not get many other opportunities, if any at all here, as Evo does connect the rail. And as you say, that one rail's connected. Oh, he's going to go for this Ghost Walk immediately. Oh, he got the Ghost Walk
Swede
as he got the pickup, and he's somehow not going to take any additional damage. That's insane. He's actually in a good position now, collecting some time, the cooldown bubbles, and 5 seconds to the Ghost Walk. He's in a great position to take an engagement. Now has found Evil. The rail's connected. Will he be able to finish him off? Another rail there. Zoom for an extra 10 damage as he goes in with the Ghost Walk. Goes for the finishing blows with LG. And Fazz, he was looking awful, but makes the round his.
That right there is the way I like to see Nyx play. And that again shows the cognitive stance that Fazz has in using these abilities in a very innovative way, whereas most players would, in the overtime situation, would have used that on a defensive situation. He caught Evil completely unawares.
He was in a situation when he lost his Anarchy life, when we saw that kind of awkward LG up from Evil, where he was like, yeah, I'm in the advantage here. And sort of overextended, and maybe or maybe not. It's just that Evil's good. I think you highlighted it well in how Evil did use that LG, and it just was unexpected from Fazz to take so much damage from that position. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's any adjustments here from Fazz, if he plays a bit more cautiously with the Anarchy, because I think that he did generally have a lot of success in sort of bullying Evil with his amazing movement.
Yeah, and it was, at the end of the day, it was a mistake by Evil, just getting too aggressive to start with. So at the same time, we might see Evil making that adjustment, thinking, giving a little bit more respect to Fazz, particularly after he hit these two rails.
Here we go. He's looking for the finishing blows. He smells blood, and can he get it? He has to go for the inject. Down to 10. Still alive somehow. Picks up the light. Can he get out of this situation? Diving down towards Heavy. And he will survive for now, but that was a very good defense from Evil, and he's going to pick up the Mega as well.
Yeah, I mean, both players there hitting all their shots, meaning neither of them willing to push in. Maybe back in the day in a Quake Live we would have seen a risky push in, but here we go, meeting again just outside the teleport. And back to playing Keep Away. Very tentative from both sides, and it's all about hitting the first rail, and as we see Fazz doing, they're hitting a rail, pushing in quickly. That's the power of the Anarchy, in that you can get on top of your opponents extremely quickly. But Evil just doing a good job to move away, and Fazz not wanting to overcommit. And I think that's the key in Quake Champions Duel, should I say, that you don't want to overcommit when you only have these 3 lives.
You can see he really wants to make a trap there. Also, just going to get a bit of delay on the Heavy.
Yeah, what he was doing is, well, obviously splitting the items because they've been synchronized the whole time. So now he knows he's on the front foot, he can afford to do that, and he can just keep Evil away from this Mega. And if Evil even tries to push in, he's going to take a considerable amount of damage. And Evil doesn't know it's been delayed, so this is the time for Fazz to push.
Yeah, this is his window of opportunity. It's actually got only 5 rockets here. Not sure if that's going to be a problem. We'll see. First rockets coming in from Fazz, whiffing absolutely everything. They're Evil defending, holding on to that heavy armor and getting the pickup. Massive opportunity completely gone for Fazz.
So this is what I was talking about in the introduction. The fact that Fazz using his brain to... Absolutely, that was the perfect move. Splitting the items, Evil didn't know, but Fazz hit nothing. I think it was 4 rockets, and he hit nothing. And because of it, he's dead.
Great rail there from Evil, finishing him off, and catching the Anarchy.
Yeah, and that for that reason is why I always think Fazz has the potential and just hasn't reached it. He just needs to hit those shots. They're critical shots.
I wait to see whether Fazz can get something going. You know, working from that high ground, but we can see there's often Evil enjoys vertical LG. He's quite good at it, in fact.
He is. He's the best at it, I think, and it's just... Ooh. It's really frustrating.
Could have used a rail there, actually, but...
Yeah, there's a few occasions where but it's those vertical LGs. It's really frustrating because, as you just said, people should rail, and he's using LG.
Yeah.
And people usually miss, but he's not missing with the LG.
Good rocket there from Fazz, but it doesn't really serve to help him all that much ultimately, as we can see. Great use of the Dire Orb there to cut off the potential route that Fazz may have taken to pressure onto the Mega, whilst also still getting the Mega and keeping it safe. Really good use of that Dire Orb and good positional awareness.
But the problem is the time is ticking down, and Fazz has nothing for his name to work with, so it's going to be like almost 4 minutes 20 by the time he gets virtually enough stack to really try and commit to Evil. So all Evil has to do is play relatively safe and not get railed, and he should be fine. But apparently he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to bully him, which is smart. This is really, really smart. Except he's mistimed the armor.
It gets really frustrating when you play Evil's style, where you do run all the items and your opponent's kind of getting starved, but you don't connect any shots.
Yeah. Because
then you sort of don't make any progress and get towards that kill, which you're working so hard for, and Evil will get himself back down onto the heavy armor with that Dire Orb.
Nice.
Oh, good Ghost Walk coming in here, pressuring Evil. He can't take the damage. Oh, 2 health, and he hits the rail. The fadeaway is good for Evil, and he will be taking down Fazz, down to the last hero. Champion indeed. No, I mean, the intuition there from Evil was perfect. We saw him backing off, even though the red was just about to spawn, because he had that nagging feeling you have as a Quake player where something's not right. There should be someone chasing me. So what is it? They must be invisible. We're looking to go for the drop for the heavy. Knows it soon, but what awaits at the bottom.
He doesn't need to move. He's just playing safe around the 2 exit points because there's 5 seconds to go. Oh my god. It's a good game anyway.
He's good to go.
Yeah. Time.
There it is, 1-1. Evil ties it up, and Fazz realizes his error.
It's one of those things you're just not used to as a Quake player now. You have 15 years of Quake 10-15 minute duels, so you don't really recognize the 5-minute limit just yet. It might seem silly to people watching, but it's just your brain is not functioning in the same way.
You built all these neural pathways specifically for one thing.
Yeah, and they have to break them down and rebuild them, which is not pretty.
Let's see if Evil can continue the success. He's been, I think he's getting his groove on, but Fazz, again, he needs to be able to connect some of these rails. There's one with the Anarchy. Again, when you see an Anarchy just strafing left and right, spamming AD like that, you look at that, and he's like, sometimes I'm just physically ill, and I'm just like, nope, I'm just gonna back away from this.
Yeah, it's quite an annoying situation. Nice by Fazz, really nice by Fazz. Fazz reading Evil's positioning and knowing he couldn't get to the Mega, so just taking both. Yeah, it's one of the situations. Nice, really nice Dire Orb by Evil, but just not enough.
That was a beautiful pursuit from Fazz, just barely making the rocket, keeping the rocket jump, keeping the momentum, and now forcing a Ghost Walk. And considering that he's quite strong, he could find a way to pressure Evil into a fight, which Evil can't escape from. And
he knows that Evil wants the lightning gun and the rail. This is a really great point to make sure your opponent doesn't come in, but has to retreat just so he doesn't want to lose out on any items.
So allowing a potential pickup there, running everything. There's no Ghost Walk for Evil still, I believe. The rockets are good there from Fazz. Has to go for the inject. Can't get an engagement to finish him off as he does drop down to the lower level.
Close. One missed rocket cost Fazz there. It just needed a little bit of splash and it could have been enough, but Evil sneaks away, and now the Ghost Walk is back up, giving him another lifeline.
Here he comes, forces the Ghost Walk again.
Yeah, this is the speed of the Anarchy catching Evil off guard. He's getting in a few precarious situations because he's not keeping track of Fazz's movement. And every time he wastes the Ghost Walk, as we said, he then has to back off and collect those time bubbles and just really can't show on the map because you just don't feel confident as a Nyx until that's back up.
Go the rail whiffed by Evil as he makes his way up the jump head, back to the rail now, seeing if he can find himself some bit of safety. Going for the telly, Fazz comes in for the engagement. Great defensive rocket. That's going to send Fazz packing. So he doesn't really have an option to continue that fight. But down onto the heavy, and it's a trade. Both players going down to their each other's rockets.
Fazz picking the Nyx. I'm relatively surprised. I would have expected the Sorlag to come out with the Nyx to kind of finish off the game, but maybe he wants to try and run down the clock from 2 minutes 30. I do not know.
Interesting. That would be definitely a strategy that could work for him. Perhaps if he doesn't feel confident that he can sort of beat Evil in these direct fights, he can force Evil to chase him, and then he gets the better engagements.
That's exactly the other point I was going to say, that he was going to use the Nyx's, no, it doesn't matter.
Boom.
Use the Nyx's mobility to keep away from the Sorlag, being a lot faster and nimble, but doesn't matter. Hits a direct rocket to the face of the lizard.
Yeah, easy peasy for Fazz in the end. Looked, I mean, some of the frags come so difficult. It's so difficult to get some kills, and then some is like, yep, here's 2 rockets.
I know. It feels like Evil's doing all the right steps, and then just a couple of like little mistakes. Nice by Fazz, pushing him really, really quickly. Doesn't want to risk it.
There's the rail though. He get an angle. Looks like he's more interested in the items. And that's fine. I respect that choice.
Nah, it was just playing ridiculously safe. He had 76 health. 1 rail would kill him. You're already up to 1. Why take any sort of risk if you don't need to?
Just chilling out a little bit now. Fazz waiting to try to stack himself back up. It's actually going to be a mega there for him as well. Spots Evil just for a second. Nice flick rail, but he will take a rail as well. And as you mentioned, Anaki's so squishy that trade is going to be pretty fine for Evil. He's still got armor to play with as well. Yeah,
and respecting Evil's rail in particular massively, that anytime he has sub 80, he will just play completely passive and sneak his way to an armor.
And here it is in the air, opting to go for the inject. Really smart stuff there from Fazz. Gets himself back onto the heavy, working out quite well. Doesn't want to go up the jump pad. Nice rail though. Spots an opportunity and he nails it. It's going to be down to the Nyx here for Evil now.
Very surprised Evil opted to go with the lightning gun there when Fazz popped up into the air. All it would have taken is 1 rail. It was very, very available. So a little weapon mistake coming out from Evil, which is rare, I would say.
Oh, that's close. Positionally though, Fazz is much better, in a better spot to pick up all the items, and this is a really desperate timing right now for Evil, because if Fazz gets the mega and he just picked up the heavy, then Evil has nothing. He's got no Ghost Walk, I think, for another 15 seconds at least. There is a window now for Fazz to push him down, and he's looking for that pursuit, trying to get that info. What is Evil going to do to try to stay alive here?
Exactly, and there is no better champion than Anarchy to really push against this cooldown. Again, it's something that's overlooked. That's one of the problems with the tankier champions against the Nyx, is that when it's on cooldown, you can't force the fight because you can't catch the Nyx. But with an Anarchy, you can get on top of it and make the absolute most out of that 40 seconds or whatever it is.
And yeah, he's just looking for that next opportunity now. Really importantly, though, is that in this situation, he didn't force another Ghost Walk, which I feel like would kind of perpetuate that cycle. Will that happen now? I mean, I don't think Evil wants that to be the case. He's going to fall back. And now Evil's done enough damage, it feels like he can get himself onto items finally.
Yeah.
It's been a while since that was the case.
The same with the trading the rail. This suits Fazz because Evil's pushing in with his Ghost Walks.
Oh, that's so much damage. Forced to use the inject.
That was,
oh my god.
1 second too late. Otherwise, that was a kill.
Let's just pick up the mega though, but again, he doesn't have an inject to save his life, so he might want to play passively now. And
but there's no Ghost Walk as well, so they're pretty even on the cooldowns. And every second that passes, this suits Fazz now with the with 1 champion advantage.
Looking to get a nice rail connected, but Nyx will jump up. Perhaps trying to fake him out there as the wall jump was expected, but it didn't come in from Evil. In fact, Evil will be around the lightning gun area. Spotted, I think, just for a second by Fazz. Looking for the rail. Will miss that one, though. Quite difficult to hit Nyx as it is Anarchy as well. Awkward engagement. And the OG will be definitely much more consistent. So Evil in a good position. Look at this. He's actually able to catch Fazz. More damage because he goes for the drop down. Can he finish him off? Good rocket. The inject comes in just in the nick of time, but Fazz will escape.
Darn it.
The is whiffed.
Cannot hit the Anarchy when it counts. Cannot hit the Anarchy. Yeah. Evil's making all the right calls, but the time is not on his side. He does have the stack advantage. Just needs to get this mega, and I think that's just game on. He has to push for the final minute.
It's a really tough situation now. As you say, minute to go. Evil starts to get desperate.
Fazz playing the corners now.
Evil could be considered one of the most clutch duelers of the last few years. Again, having made many finals.
But what can you do now? It's almost impossible to catch the Anarchy. He has to hit a rail and then try and use the Ghost Walk.
There it is, Ghost Walk used to no avail. This would be a big mistake perhaps from Fazz now to get himself in a position. Oh, that's a great bounce into the rail combination.
He hasn't timed the Mega.
Oh my god, with 30 seconds to go. That is beautiful stuff there from Evil. Literally. It was hard to see him even do it. Like, how could he even find a way? But he did.
Literally calling him the most clutch player of recent times, and what does he do? Pulls out one of the most clutch players of the tournament so far. But exceptional play from Evil, did everything right. And now we're going to probably go into overtime with the Nyx versus Nyx, which can be a very slow affair.
Right, so Evil with the Mega. He's obviously now flipped the tables. Fazz working the lead for so long, but now...
We saw Fazz's Nyx struggling against Evil before, just because Evil just hits more shots. And when that's the case, there's nothing you can really do as a Nyx without any stack.
Risk taken there by Evil, and he's actually going to be hit with a rail by Fazz. And this is really interesting because again, Evil, he went for the Ghost Walk aggression, trying to hopefully catch Fazz there, but he wasn't there. And now he's not got a Ghost Walk. If Fazz gets on top of him, he won't be able to escape all that easily, but Fazz will.
The one thing that Evil has in his advantage is that Fazz is unaware Evil used the Ghost Walk.
Oh, Fazz knows that Evil is low now. He's hit 2 rails, and he's taken the big items. So Evil's in a lot of trouble. One more rail, I think, and he's probably going to be dead.
Fazz is also weak prior to that pickup. He keeps messing up this jump, actually.
Annoying with Nyx with that wall jump. Because all the other heroes that you play, you tend to spam the jump when you're going to jump pad.
Yeah, you do, but Nyx does it too early.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mega picked up again. So the situation sort of, in some senses, a little bit more reset, but Evil's still finding it hard to get any big pickups.
He is, and he is also down. This is a game point if Fazz takes this round, so it's definitely pressure on Evil. Both have the Ghost Walk, which means there's probably not much going to happen for the next fight also.
It's a really good rocket though from Evil. That equalizes thing. In fact, it even puts him in the edge, with the edge there, and a Ghost Walk used by Evil after he takes a rail. Can't possibly afford to die here.
But there's nothing up, and he's in probably the worst position, so far away from any of the small armors, and Fazz knows that.
Oh, the rocket's good from Evil, forces the Ghost Walk with down to 13 himself. Fazz goes to 2, and that is it for him, 2-2.
That was the right decision. I have no idea how that rocket did so much damage, but wow.
There you go. All down to the last round between these two highly accomplished duelists. Evil definitely more accomplished in recent years than Fazz, that's for sure.
I don't know if Fazz is probably the unluckiest dueler of all time. He's doing everything right. It's just some things are not paying off.
That's sort of the magic when you have a championship tier player such as Evil to play against. Sometimes
I agree, yeah. Very true.
Oh my god. Oh, that's disgusting amount of LG damage. And the thing, especially against the LG, now that it is stronger, when you're looking at fights against the squishies, the fast champions, you can consistently deal damage. Whereas with the rail, you shoot the rail, you miss, and the other guy's shooting you with LG, you're done. Yeah,
it's definitely the safer play, but sometimes nice. But sometimes you just have to take the gamble and try and hit that rail, because if you hit it, they're dead. So it's definitely like a risk analysis.
And this is a great start for Evil now. He's actually, I mean, the last round we can look at Evil struggling, being behind the entire time with a clutch rocket to rail combo to get himself back in it and then somehow actually win the round. Really unbelievable stuff from Evil in that perspective. But now Fazz is on the back foot. Oh, good LG damage, talking of that, but again, so much in the way of pickups here. Evil's able to go for the pursuit.
Ghost Walk.
Oh my god, Evil able to take down Fazz on the drop, and now Fazz, the worst position we've seen him in the entire series.
Initial great play from Fazz, but the Ghost Walk was a blunder, and it's cost him the map. Oh, GG. Fazz threw that away. Fazz threw that away rather than Evil winning it.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw some engagements where he's trying to pursue for the frag, and you think I mean,
you have to play to win.
Yeah, I mean, he's going for it, man. He had a situation, he knew his opponent super low. I mean, it depends which situation you're talking about, but...
Oh, say that last teleport of death, the one on the 2-1.
Yeah.
Where if he got that, he won.
He knows Evil's like 1 LG cell away from death, but Evil gets, obviously... I mean,
he was literally 14 I think it was, but either way, it was 1 or 2 bullets, and if you don't go for that kill, it resets. Like, Nyx has a Ghost Walk up, he has full health stack, you're back on even
man,
terms.
You gotta play like a man.
Exactly,
go for those
and he
balls
did.
Out, all the way.
He did. And
Fazz with the balls out.
they got crushed.
They did. Yeah, they got absolutely hammered on by Evil.
They did.
So
Russian pain.
yeah, that's
Either way, I was massively impressed with Fazz. There were a few situations where he was doing everything right, and just at the end of the day, mechanical skill let down. Like the rocket's not hitting, the rail's not hitting, and on the other hand, Evil pretty much hitting everything.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if we look back at the situation where Evil got he was able to have like the clutch play in the last like 20 seconds or so. Rocket bounced to rail connection, hitting the rail as Fazz was in the air, helpless. And you got to give it to Evil, man. That was his position to win the match.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, he was making the right decisions. He had got Evil low prior to that point. He went for the Mega because it was free, and then somehow Evil steamrolls in with virtually no health or armor and hits a rocket to rail combo and just kills you. I mean, as Anarchy, that can happen because you're always at such a low deficit in terms of health and armor. But again, Fazz is making the right decisions. It was just a bit of a freaky play coming out from Evil. Interestingly, Fazz does not opt for the saw lag on this map, and Evil changes the saw lag. I was going to say, I don't think his saw lag was very effective at all. He does not look well trained or drilled so far in just that previous map. So he's mixed it up for the visor, which is not a meta pick, if I can say that.
Hey man, he's got a wall hack. You can see stuff through walls. That's pretty sick.
All right, done. All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Wall hack. Well, I mean, come on. It's good. It's pretty good.
I remember
on this
when
map too. I mean, I guess it can be quite difficult sometimes to even locate your opponent.
No, I think this is one of the maps where it is definitely viable. I remember when they first announced Quake Champions and we were looking at all the abilities, I was like, whoa, come on, that is like the most OP stuff in here.
I actually thought Daryl was the most OP when it came out. Yeah, because I was like, you can teleport anywhere you want. That's pretty good. Like,
yeah. We've got some other stuff coming out soon, which is going to be pretty OP as well. So I'll love to see how innovative people can be on it. But here we go. We're in again with the Knicks.
We in.
Round begins in 3.
All right.
1.
Round 1. Fight.
So Evil able to get himself off to the heavy and rail. Obviously, one of the reasons why the Dirob is so good is because the cooldown is 20 seconds, which is
insane.
Is really insane if you consider the sheer utility and also killing potential with it.
And on the previous map, we spoke about nice engagement to start with. We spoke about Evil's rail prowess, and I think that was definitely a defining characteristic of Ruins of Sana. This map is even better for it.
Speaking of rails, Fazz with a good connection there, and
it's not going to deter Evil though.
Yeah, Evil just keeping the pressure on. You've got to be careful when you're peering over this bridge. If Fazz gets the connection, the second follow-up, it could get scary. It'd be hard for Evil to replenish his health and armor, but look at this beautiful dive onto the Mega there from Fazz. Does take a rail for his troubles, but again, denying the Mega from Evil. He just sustained a rail previously. Fazz is a bit more stacked. Although actually, that's actually more or less even if you can count the armor as well.
Sure. It's one of the characteristics of Evil is that he just takes the risky plays that no other player does, and it catches you off guard multiple times. If it doesn't pay out in Quake Champions, it can cost you the game, but at the same time, it's often got such a high reward that it really does keep you on the back foot when you're playing against him.
Evil up the jump pad onto the Mega. After the initial exchange, which didn't seem to suit him, he's managed to build himself up quite the stack.
Yeah.
Looks good at the moment now as he looks to get a good bit of chip damage. If he can do that with a rail, more than, I guess, chip damage, it's basically most of Anaki's health, then he can get a Dirob and try to position himself. But actually, 2 rails from Fazz changes everything.
Nice from Fazz. Whoa.
That was close.
Little bit close. You're right, yeah, that's the key. Any rail against Anarchy or Nyx just does such a disproportionate amount of damage that you just have to back off. Even though Fazz hit a rail, he's used his ability, he still doesn't have enough to commit to anything.
Got to be careful as well. Evil just, again, Evil hits these, Evil's that player that hits all these shots that you just don't expect. And when you're a Quake player, you go into an engagement knowing sort of how much damage you're very likely to take, and you can pretty accurately guess that, and it seems, it's like kind of uncanny. And the situation against Evil is that, and why he catches people off guard is because he always does a bit more than you actually expect. It's like Cypher at tournaments as well. Cypher's exactly the same way. You just don't understand that he can do so much damage. I was going
to say the exact same point in that you have these... no! Oh, super close, super close.
Don't do that!
You have these players like like Strengths and Toxic, which have obviously incredible aim, but in a consistent and confined environment. They don't catch you off guard. If you run into them in a one-on-one, they will demolish you. But they don't take these positions where they deal like freakishly weird damage in positions you don't expect. Nice rails coming out.
Oh no, dropping onto the LG. We've seen how strong it is, and Fazz able to get away just in time using that air control. But in comes the reposition there from Evil. Can pull out the rail now as Fazz catches him off guard. Great chip there as we see Evil picking up that Mega.
But the Evils and the Cyphers of this world, they don't have the same raw aim, but they just do incredible damage when they shouldn't.
The Evils and the Cyphers of the world. Are you saying that there's more than 2 of those guys running around? Because that's scary.
I would put Rafa in that category.
Scary world.
I'd put Rafa in the category. I'd say he plays, and even cooler now, they play very similar ways and just do damage when they shouldn't. And that, as a player, is what wins you games.
Oh, awkward, but great rockets
Nice.
there. And Evil would have seen how much damage he did, and he knows he's up against an Anarchy. If he can just get a good position, hit a rail, he can finish him off. And once the Anarchy is gone, it should get a bit easier here for Evil. You can see why Fazz leads with the Anarchy. Oh,
nice rail.
He knows that Fazz must be just screaming at the moment.
One more rail.
Oh, that's so important. Oh, whoa, no, Fazz. Oh, God, it's so dangerous. How on earth is he alive?
My heart.
Oh, he hits the direct as well. Oh,
No
another
way.
one as well coming in from Fazz. Excellent work. What a ridiculous series
Jesus.
of exchanges between these two players. Fazz, how have you done this?
Magical Swede.
How on earth have you done this? And you were saying in the last map he must be the unluckiest player. Well, I can see where the luck has gone. I mean, that was pretty sick. He rocket jumped into Evil's LG. That is a Death Warrior signing by doing that. Doesn't die somehow. Hits 2 directs.
This is the thing with
Unbelievable.
he saw that though. He definitely saw the Ghost Walk. This is the thing with an Anarchy and the air control is that you can do these pretty much dumbass moves and get away with it sometimes just because you can kind of zip away in a random direction that wouldn't work otherwise. But Fazz, again, playing to win, you know, balls out, why not?
Balls all the way out, man, flapping around in the winds as Anarchy moves at obscene speeds through the map. Through
10
Blood
seconds.
Covenant.
10 seconds. Don't mess it up, Fazzle.
Here he is. The Anarchy's got a great escape potential. He's got that inject ready to go.
Nice. Round 1. That was, I think, a very calculated and tactical game.
I don't know, man. I just saw the
Beyond the kind
Yeah, I
of
was gonna
moments
say.
of erratic randomness that came out from Fazz.
I just saw the result, man. It's 2 direct rockets flying all over the place.
Yeah, beyond that exchange, they kept each other at the mid-range. Evil playing that kind of high but mid-level, not really going down to the lower levels, just playing the rail game, as we said, he does very, very well. And just waiting for his opportunity.
Rip.
His hit.
Ooh, that was close, and Evil's going to be so sad he didn't pick that one up. 2 rockets close range. You feel like you have the Anarchy in your grasp, you're crushing him, you're squeezing his throat, but somehow he slips away.
It is the most, I don't know if you know this, but it's probably the most frustrating feeling in the world when you get an Anarchy in that position and you don't finish him off because you know, okay, he's away, that's it, GG.
Yep. I definitely have those feels. I've had those feels.
Same with the Knicks when it's when the thing is on cooldown. Jeez, man, mouse breaking territory.
Because it is with Anarchy, like, absolutely that position where, oh my god, I've caught him. He's caught. He's done. He's
exactly.
done now. Like, if you get that first good rocket, he's done. But he can't move. I got this.
You can't pin him down. So if you let that slip, oh, gotta compose yourself again.
Yeah, Fazz is in a good position too. He's obviously working the high ground here. He gets the spot. Good rail coming onto Evil. And Fazz is playing much better than the opening of Ruins of Sarnath, I would say, where he's like whiffing some easy rails against the Soul. Ah, great!
Nice.
Stuff there, the peak coming in, and we'll see the Darob trying to make Fazz look away to give Evil something to play with there. And he does escape the situation, but Fazz is still in the driving seat, getting the mega pickup, although suspended in the air rather, as we get Evil with a quick rail to diminish the stack of Fazz, but he's still looking pretty decent.
Yeah, but again, that damage coming out from Evil just before the mega, meaning Fazz got pretty much the full pickup, so a little bit unfortunate there.
And there's a spot to Fazz, knows exactly where Evil is. Evil challenging onto that heavy armor, looking to get the LG damage up there as he goes for the flick rail, and just standing there, fighting. Now predictably moving down the stairs. Fazz knows he's got Evil, and he will pick up the frag indeed now, as Fazz is looking great on Blood Covenant.
Yeah, he really is, and you made the correct point in that he's now hitting his shots, and that allows him to play his game because he's getting him in the right position. When he hits his shots, he can use the Anarchy speed to pressure Evil and dive in for the kill. Evil's got the Ghost Walk up as well, so there is a chance we can see him using this aggressively, but he's also missed the red, meaning his window is faded very slightly.
Great rail there from Fazz. Again, the speed of Anarchy troublesome to deal with. And up the jump pad goes Evil, but the flick rail.
That would have been a kill. It would have been a kill as well. Unlucky by Fazz.
But he's so fine. He's got so much in the way of opportunities still to come, as he has so much stack, so much speed, so much power.
Defrag right now.
There's a little bit of chip damage from the rocket, but can he hit the rail? That's the question. Evil sitting on that heavy armor. We'll pick it up there. Rail comes in a bit too late though, but Fazz drops in for the finish. LG comes out, and the Ghost Walk there to keep Evil alive.
Justin.
Oh, hello. All right then. That seems fair enough. Evil with a long-range direct rocket. Fazz did not know what hit him, and such is the life of an Anarchy.
I'm done, man. I'm done. That was disgusting.
Yeah. You look like you're going to be physically sick. Are you okay? Do you need to do something?
I'm more pale than I normally am.
We'll sort that out later. I don't know what that means. Just gonna I had no way to follow that up. But will Fazz be able to follow up such a great rocket there from Evil? Where's the response at right now? Obviously, both players hero down a piece, and Fazz now on to the next. So it's the next mirror matchup we have here. This could go on for a while.
It could. Both have the Ghost Walk up. So as we know, the plan is now to try and hit your rail, pressure, force out the Ghost Walk. Then you have some good 30 seconds or so to play with. One of the good tactics on this map, because there are a lot of them, is trying to protect those time shards. They're such a resource that you can set up traps around them.
The Ghost Walk forced?
By both of them.
Yeah, that's the panic Ghost Walk there. I think if Fazz, truly had, balls out mode, he knows he's got the engagement there. And that's the thing, Evil was like, okay, this is a really terrible engagement for me. And then Fazz would have the advantage of having not used his Ghost Walk just yet.
But for instance, that curved area there, that's a really great area to... so he knows. How does he know?
Well, Evil's dead. He's going to be electrocuted. And Fazz, as you said, he had the read there somehow, or just the guess, and Evil had no idea. And that's the difference sometimes. You get in the right position, you connect the string of LG, that's a very dead mix. But is it going to be a dead Solar, rather Visor?
The difference there was that Fazz collected more time shards. Evil's cooldown was probably, I think, 3 seconds away. Literally, the most important thing in a game are the time shards sometimes.
And there it is.
2-0 on Evil's map. But can he finish it off? He was in a very strong position on Ruins.
You're right.
And he didn't do it.
Round begins in 3.
Man, that direct rocket from Evil was
not enough.
Sexy stuff, man.
It was sexy though.
It was sexy.
Frag movie clipping.
Now we've got Fazz back onto the Anarchy, where he's found so much success. Evil having to find a ridiculous shot to actually stop his Anarchy.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
Oh, this is a great position. Has to force the Ghost Walk, surely. No, he doesn't actually. Evil...
He's already used it. That's
wow. Because
he used it at the start to try and catch him with the rail. And that's why Fazz was protecting the time bubbles.
And he was Fazz was super close there to actually hitting basically a direct rocket. So that could have been it right there.
And the previous map, that's the exact area where you can set up traps, because there's a good few hiding positions around it, and you know that Nyx needs those time bubbles.
Decent rocket, 47 damage there, and
both pushing in
down, going for the committed play. Fazz trying to escape here. Evil, gotta be careful. Coming back through, circling back into the nail gun, and it will be Evil pushed back on towards the jump pad. Fazz though doesn't seem to want to take the engagement. He's gonna wait for a better moment. We'll have to see if that pays off now as he gets the inject, and back into the mega he'll surely go as Evil sits there waiting for the spawn, and Fazz just wanting to play the rail from long distance.
Yeah, and for me, well, Evil switched up to the Nyx, which shows he thinks that's the most viable tactic against the Anarchy. He's playing defensive now, and this is he's waiting for the... Oh no!
Great shot, trying to mess with Fazz, trying to mess with his rails, expecting Fazz to perhaps flick up, using the wall jump there to offset the trajectory, but Fazz is too good. Oh, the direct rocket connects. Could it be the rail follow-up? Looking for it. Fazz has the speed, but does he have the connections? And he does. Evil sent into space. As Fazz looks amazing right now.
It's now Fazz's game to lose.
Is there a way back in?
There is, but it's a long road. You have to use the full 5 minutes. And I was about to say, I think Evil needs to play a different style. The rail game isn't working, and one of the strong tactics I find against Anarchy is these CPM champions. He's pushing. He has to push in. He's going to get the kill. Yeah, GG. These CPM champions, the way in which they move around the map, they have their roots to keep their speed. I'm sure you know that very well. So one of the strong tactics I find is to camp the routes around corners, because you know where they're going to come flying around to get an item. So you camp those corners with a rocket, and then you can try and pin them into the wall, into a nice contained space. Evil that game opted for the longer range, hitting the rails, playing a bit more passive and cautious. And Fazz just responded perfectly. He hit an equal amount of rails, never allowed Evil in, and anytime he got even semi-low, Fazz just retreated. So it was perfectly played by Fazz.
Yeah, he had a really good just positional superiority, generally speaking. And one thing that you sort of, it's hard to see, what Fazz is doing in this situation is sort of being able to avoid the spots which are bad, which kind of sounds like, what does that mean? Because we just, what you're seeing right now is just like him running around.
I mean,
but what you're not seeing is what he's not doing. And that's kind of, because he has a lot of situations where he could take this route or that route.
Exactly.
As you said, he specifically always picked the right route, so he had just enough safety, he wasn't too committed, played off the information he had. He really did play it remarkably well.
And it's that exact quality that it's very difficult for people that aren't too involved into duel to see, is that look really easy for Fazz. Why couldn't Evil do any more? It's because Fazz played exceptionally around the information he had and never committed to fights where he wasn't going to at least have a fair chance. And as you right, just choosing the safest routes to keep Evil at bay, and it worked absolutely perfectly.
Now we're going to be on to Corrupted Keep, I believe, right? So
wow. So I initially said I favoured Fazz here. I still do.
I know you predicted Evil to win this series, but
I did.
But I predicted Fazz.
Evil's combat skills are looking very strong. It could go either way. Okay.
Well, either way, you mean Fazz's way?
No, Evil.
Because that's my. You got to stick with your prediction, man.
I said Evil's going to win.
Okay, good.
At the start.
Yeah, nice and I said Fazz.
Yeah, so I just stuck with my prediction.
Good. No backing out of anything. That's good. Right, it's gonna be really cool to see how not having the rail involved.
They both heavily revolved around the rail.
Yeah.
We've seen that Fazz has tried to avoid these one-on-one combat fights at all costs, and on Corrupted Keep that's quite difficult to do.
We're gonna see different champs.
We are gonna see Sorlag back in the mix, probably from both. I think we probably go back to the original compositions.
Where's Galena at?
I think Galena is probably the most underutilized champion. We only really see Cypher use it, and he uses it to an amazing effect.
So mostly
Blood Run and Corrupted Keep.
As well?
And Ruins and Corrupted Keep. Pretty much.
Okay, basically everywhere.
It does, except
the entire map pool.
Yeah, except Blood Covenant.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's very, very strong, but also it takes different mindset. I think it's very underutilized. I'm sure it's a conversation we'll have later, but I don't think either one of these people play it.
Alright, well, that's a bit of a shame.
I love Galena. I love Scalebearer.
So I guess we never see Fazz.
I don't think we're going to see Scalebearer at all this tournament.
No. Yeah, I spoke to Toxic about that. He's just like, well,
pointless.
Kind of like the old patch where I could play Scalebearer.
Yeah.
But now the hitboxes are sort of like it's just so much easier to hit him, and the LG is so strong.
And it's like it's just another champion that's very cooldown dependent, because the bull rush needs to be used pretty predominantly defensively. If you're really on the offense, then you can reposition with it, but without that, then you're just a sitting duck, because as we said, their hitboxes are so large that you just get absolutely destroyed even with the bigger stack. And again, Clutch maybe got over nerfed. I mean, it's not our debate to have, but we don't see him at all. And Slash,
whatever debate you want. This is the land of free speech, of freedom.
Apparently not, according to James Harding. And Slash, we'll see some Slash, but not from either one of these. Fazz plays it, but I don't think he plays it in duel.
Yeah, it doesn't really make. I can't really see how it makes too much sense.
Doesn't work on Corrupted Keep either.
Yeah.
If we were going to see it at all, it would have been the first map. Also, well, even like a Ratchet, it works. Well, but yeah, Evil, I think he's looked really, really solid. Fazz played out of his mind that game. I think Evil took the wrong tactic. The first two rounds were the closest. The third one was a write-off. Really, a couple of unlucky, silly mistakes from Evil. Tried to do a few different things that didn't work. I just think he needed to try and contain Fazz in a close combat quarters rather than keeping him at bay. But at the same time, as we said, Fazz played keep away exceptionally well.
Yeah, he really did. Is he going to get the same mileage out of Anarchy on this map?
Yeah, definitely. Anarchy is really strong, but at the same time, it's if you play very smart, it can be vulnerable, because you can run into a shotgun, you can run into a direct rocket, but we've seen like Noctis in the past use it to really great effect. Razy, really, really strong on Anarchy as well. Victor, all of these guys have Anarchy on the top of their list, and they always use it first pick on Corrupted Keep.
All right, well, it's time will tell. We'll take a quick break here, and we'll finish off the series here between Fazz and Evil. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon for the remainder of this match.
I've played Quake over 20 years. I've been doing it a long time.
Every single year I've competed.
Started playing Quake Live in 2008. This would be my first experience being considered a pro gamer.
But to have another Quake game come out, I don't think I've ever trained this hard in my life.
That adds a lot more to the table for this year's Quakecon because it's not the same game that we've been playing.
Our biggest team strength is that we have the ability to have fun while we're playing the game. I'm just really confident in my team.
I don't really think we have an MVP in our team. Any one of us can go crazy.
We have a lot of experience, we execute very well, and our communication is on point.
If my team is playing their A game, we will always come on top of every situation, every outcome.
Our aim is scary. If we're all on, good luck. Seriously.
The magnitude of the prize pool that's being put there, the amount of effort that all the players have been putting in and preparing for this tournament, the amount of skill that I'm seeing to overcome that challenge, it always excites me.
This is the year that we're going to have to prove that we are the best.
The decision to bring champions into Quake came from Quake Live. Adam Pyle came up with the idea of adding an enhancement that would incorporate abilities into characters, and it was going to be a game mode. That was it.
One thing we wanted to do with Quake Champions was provide a way for you to move as you did in every previous Quake game. One thing I was often asked was, hey, are you guys going to make a sequel? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with movement? Are you going to keep crouch sliding? Are you going to keep strafe jumping? And it dawned on us early on, with a future Quake game, we wouldn't necessarily have to choose. Instead, we could build this concept where we provided those options that you could play like you did in Quake 4, you can play like you did in Quake 3, or you could have even the movement of Quake 1. But the general idea is that each champion represents a different movement style. Characters kind of could have special abilities, but still be fairly balanced.
So we prototyped it in Quake Live, and we found that it was actually really fun. We felt, why don't we take this idea of champions and really expand it? And I see kind of a natural evolution of the first-person genre now, moving towards more champion, hero, kind of class-based shooters. Because people like to associate themselves to a character or a class, and it adds a lot of depth and strategy to the game that goes beyond just kind of running and gunning.
The goal is to be true to the Quake franchise and the expectations of what it means to be a Quake game. You have to evolve and you have to make something that's fresh and new and interesting.
Esports is all about a good balance in characters and not one being superpowered that can actually affect the outcome. The idea behind the champions and esports is that it's all skill-based.
So how do you take skill and you add champion abilities but not mess it up? The champion abilities, they don't really change the way you play, but they do alter the way you play. And the passive abilities don't really change the way you control your characters and you move, but they do enhance the way you control your characters and you move. We didn't go too far, but we went far enough to make a difference.
We'll probably introduce a new champion every 2-3 months, and introduce new metas for people to experience.
People that complain on the internet, you are ruining my Quake because you put champions in it. Just go play that Quake. Quake Live still runs today. But if you want something new, and I feel that it's something better, because we're evolving the game and we're pushing it forward, champions really works out well. Dual mode has always been really critical to Quake Champions, but we never actually set out to do that. We realized years ago that people love watching duel games.
One thing we did do is we looked at similar games that have these challenges, like fighting games. In a fighting game, you could have a Street Fighter where you had two Ryus playing against each other, but it's much more exciting to have a full lineup where everyone has these different skills.
In Quake Champions, dual mode consists of 3 champions that you bring into your arena, and you have 1 life per champion per round. There is much more strategy with duel. You have to know all the champions, and you have to know how to play against those champions.
Having characters that move, have different health rates, and have these special abilities, it makes everything very important and exciting because of the importance of the kill.
It's still very skill-based, but that metagame around duel really adds a lot to the experience. original Quake was the very first game that allowed dedicated independent servers to exist that people could connect into. That was something very new. What it did is it allowed people to have one place that they could go to compete. What we found is that players would go to the same servers, play against the same people, teams started to form, clans started to form. We planned none of this. And because Quake by itself is very skill-based, it takes a lot of dexterity to play it, it did lend itself well to who is the best Quake player, who has the best skill, who could beat the top guy in the US or the top guy in Europe.
I was a player in the late 90s and the early 2000s. Going from, state to state, country to country, you saw how much passion there was, how much fun people were having playing and spectating. Something was happening here.
Competitive gaming back in 1996 wasn't really a thing. So we were just excited that people were playing Quake together. And even Quakecon, which was a convention started by our fans to see who the best Quake player was. We were really excited by this.
You would see a line out the door of people trying to get in, and then everyone would be holding their giant computers and their huge CRT monitors.
Put them on tables that would compress because of the weight.
You would have to take multiple trips because there would be so many wires and so many computers. And
they were all on LAN, so they were right there. They'd yell back and forth. It was much more unruly than it is today.
And after everyone was eliminated, there'd be two players, and everyone would be hunched behind them, watching them and seeing what was happening, and they could only see one point of view.
And that sense of community and being together and playing together has just grown and grown and grown. And yes, now our communities are millions of people, but we never imagined 20 years ago that the esports industry and the size of what it is today could ever have been a thing. And we are very blessed and fortunate that Quake really started it. Every esport game today can trace its roots all the way back to Quake. My name is Tim Willits. I am the studio director here at id Software, and I have the unique distinction of working on every single Quake game. id Software at the time knew that Doom could be so much more if you could play together, because gamers are social and we love to play together. So the idea of multiplayer that we see today really can trace its roots all the way back to Doom.
I was in high school at the time when Quake 1 came out. I played a guy from Florida, and we spent, I think, an hour just jumping, kind of excited that you could look at your screen and see someone in Florida, hundreds of miles away. That was entirely new in gaming.
Doom, of course, had no mouse look, but when we developed Quake, because it was a true 3D game, we needed the ability to look up and down. But it was something so new that even for us, it was a bit unsettling.
They were worried at the time that players weren't ready for 360 movement looking around. And so it wasn't enabled by default, even though it was in the game.
We were playing multiplayer. We were playing on Quake 1, and it was towards the end of development. John realized that he was going to die. He was holding the rocket launcher. He pointed the rocket launcher down. He fired, and he jumped at the same time. And he went, "Ooh!" and he landed behind us. And we were like, "Oh my God, what was that?" And that was the very first rocket jump. It's one of those kind of unique aspects of Quake that we've fostered and that we've grown and that we've evolved to become really a kind of a pillar of what the gameplay is now. When we started Quake 3, multiplayer at the time was just exploding. I mean, it was so popular. And we knew that if we made a game that really focused on that multiplayer experience, that it would be something amazing. And Quake 3 has lasted the test of time. I mean, how many games have gone for so many years and had such a following? It's because we put all our eggs in one basket and said, this basket is going to be multiplayer. It's hard to point to a game that is more perfect than Quake 3. Even though we've done so many different Quake games, there is that one identity. It is brutal, and it is fast, and it has awesome over-the-top weapons. Those are the signature Quake elements that exist in every Quake game.
We're back. It's time to finish off Fazz versus Evil. Evil disappeared. He's like, I'm off. Then, you know,
but
what can you do?
Hopefully he's composed himself. He got seriously unlucky in DM6 on a lot of occasions.
Or did Fazz just play like a gangster?
No, Fazz plays like a gangster, but I thought after seeing Evil on Ruins, I thought he was just disgusting. He did so much damage and Fazz couldn't do anything a lot of the time. Yes, he made the right decisions, but Evil also did everything perfectly. And Fazz...
I think you're just saying that, you know, because it was your prediction that he'd win, you know.
No, I mean, I genuinely think that Evil played really, really well on Ruins and got unlucky on DM6. But Fazz, at the same time, the way he played Keep Away is something I couldn't do. That's why I had a lot of respect for what he did there. Because Evil is one of the masters of pushing in and doing the same amount of damage. And Fazz able to avoid that, showed great composure. But at the same time, my prediction was Evil, and I still have to side with Evil for Corrupted Keep.
Okay, well, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Fazz plays it. I think, again, with the Anarchy, he really showed an amazing understanding of actually how to use the speed, because the problem with speed is that the problem of having a character that's loads of speed, and everyone runs into this issue, is that you don't know when to press the off button. And you get yourself into all kinds of bad situations because you get too carried away. But again, Fazz used it very well.
At the same time, what we've seen in the previous maps is when the Anarchy goes off the table, Fazz gets in trouble. It is by far and away his most prolific and strongest champion. So as long as Evil can deal with that, he will then have a very good time against Fazz. And I think the only time on DM6 he actually fragged the Anarchy was just that disgusting rocket we saw coming on the bridge. Apart from that, Fazz played a flawless game. But on this map, it's definitely more difficult. And that's why I definitely think Evil, who's picking the Sorlag actually, will or should have the upper hand.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how things go as Evil reset his mentality. I imagine he will. He is a championship caliber player after all. But again, I do see, I mean, it would be really cool to see Fazz sort of just break, as you say, this idea in our heads that's been sort of set in stone over the last 15 years of his career, where he's very good, he can absolutely make top 8s, but you rarely will see him in the finals of a major event. And so I would love to see Fazz changing that storyline about himself. But we will have the warm-up beginning now on...
And this is exactly why we said at the start that he's one of those players you think, in your head, you're saying, yeah, why not? Fazz top 4, he's a great player. But then when it comes to the execution, he's just a caliber down from the likes of the Evils and the Coolers and the Cyphers of the world. And it's something that's difficult to address, but if he can, then maybe he can be a championship caliber player in Cup Champions.
True. And this map kind of looks like a Dark Souls kind of map, and Fazz is super good at Dark Souls, so
there we go. That's
my analysis.
Wow, go back to CS.
Well, it's like a good vantage point here for some rockets, but you can see the LG is pressing Evil back, as well as some globules of spit, acid spit. Globule, that's not really a word I use very often.
Globules?
We'll come back to words later.
Fazz starting with the Sorlag though. This is slightly unusual given that obviously the Anarchy's been the prime pick, but on this map I can definitely understand it, that it is close quarters and you want a tankier champion to really get in Evil's face. But Evil doing a great job in doing all the initial first damage as well as maintaining his stack. Get rid of that pot that's going to get in your way.
Bloody pots. He knows lots of pots. They would call them urns in Dark Souls, but enough about that. We've got the spit back in from Fazz. And
are these new, by the way, all these urns?
What's that?
The pots and urns. I've never really seen them on the corners before.
I don't know. Not much into my urns.
Nice. That tracking was perfect.
Yeah, great positioning from Evil. He's really biding his time for quite a while there. Now he has a good opportunity to run those heavies should he like to do so. And they are 6 seconds apart, the heavy and the mega, so he can definitely get that cycle going. Fazz, oh, he's got to be careful, he's so low. I mean, another couple of cells and he's going to be dead.
Yep, he's extremely low, cannot push out, already used his ability, still extremely low. If he gets caught at all, he will die. And already we're seeing Evil take a step up from the previous map.
Yeah, definitely looks more dominant at the moment. Fazz really on the back foot. Being chased back at the moment. Already lost the champion. Picks up a light here. Lots of speed, but can he get the positioning? Good rocket there for him.
Nice.
Follow-up will chip Evil away. Some vertical shots coming in from Fazz now. Excellent rockets, good damage. The exchange is fantastic. Good string of LG. He knows that this is the time that he can press Evil to finish him off, but a good dire orb to allow an escape. But just a lick of LG there as Evil goes through the choke point will be the end of him, and that's now Evil onto the Nyx.
And it's a very precarious situation going down for that Mega when you have an opponent above you, because Fazz just rained down the pain. So Evil probably should have forfeit that. It just wasn't worth his life at the end of the day. And he's already pushed, been forced out with the Ghost Walk. So this is Fazz's opportunity to push in if he wants to. He should have time after getting this red armor to at least try and get Evil before the Ghost Walk comes back.
Yeah, it's looking really nice here for Evil, pushing Fazz off the heavy. And again, Fazz has just been on the back foot. It's such a stark difference to the DM6, or rather, sorry, the Blood Covenant that we saw, where Fazz was sort of running circles around Evil. This is somewhat, this is Evil just playing positionally really well.
Yep, definitely composed after the initial mistake, being pretty stubborn and going for that Mega, really, when he shouldn't done it. Wow, committing, over-committing.
Yeah.
And that's always a dangerous thing to do when the Anarchy has the ability up. Strange decision coming out from Evil there.
A sort of lack of focus maybe sort of could cost him quite heavily. And this is a great headshot angle here that Fazz is playing with. Gets the zoom damage up to 15 for the super machine gun, or heavy machine gun. I'm in the habit of calling things super because that's how it was in Quake World, Quake 1. Super nail gun,
heavy,
super shotgun and so on.
Yeah, it doesn't make too much difference, I guess.
To me it does. To me it's super important. Oh, see what I did there. See what I did there. Again, just using that zoom here, but couldn't get any connections. Fazz taking a bit of damage from the LG of Evil.
And now the dilemma comes. You have 1 minute to go. Do you commit for items? Do you back off? And this is really the catch-22, because if you give everything up for free, you become a little bit of a plucked sitting chicken.
That said, he is on Anarchy, so he does have all that movement speed. He's got the inject still, waiting for the heavy. Oh, just about gets it. Uses the burst here of that speed from the inject to get himself out of dodge, as he now is going to be up against Sorlag, pressing the issue. Great rocket jump coming in from Evil, finishing Fazz off, and that's exactly the situation you described.
Exactly, and even though, as you say, completely right, Anarchy has the speed, where are you going to go? The map is so small, it doesn't matter. And you can just get cornered in these rooms. This is why Anarchy is very vulnerable and a relatively risky pick, if not very effective as well on Corrupted Keep. But now Evil is fully stacked. Look at that lizard.
So what do you think about the dynamics between Nyx versus Sorlag here? You favorable one way or the other? Oh my days, that's some good damage there from Fazz, and he'll know.
I always have to say I favor the Sorlag in this matchup. I mean, the spit is almost a guaranteed Ghost Walk buffer, if that makes sense. As soon as you pop it, if you hit, they have to pretty much definitely pop the Ghost Walk. And if you manage to force out the Ghost Walk before, then the spit is pretty much a guaranteed kill. So it's always a difficult life for Nyx, I'm finding, at Sorlag. And this is why Fazz was unable to contest for either item and is living nice dangerously, just chilling in a hallway. I like the music.
Yeah, I was just appreciating it, you know, just people can listen to something nice instead of my voice. But we've got Evil there forcing the Ghost Walk without using the spit, so that's quite an interesting dynamic.
That's exactly what I mean. As soon as he pushes in now, if he hits the spit and a little bit of damage, like, it's almost guaranteed Nyx is dead because she is so weak.
So some cooldown bubbles collected by Fazz there, knocking his cooldown to around 16 seconds.
But Fazz has got a good position here. This is, I want to call it the cooler position. He always stands there and manages to hit a full rocket as you run through a doorway. And you have like a guaranteed back way to get out as well. Now that's nasty.
Ooh, Fazz took
4 seconds.
Huge damage.
Evil doesn't know, and it's back up. So
Fazz seems really screwed. Correct me if I'm wrong, so the sex. But he seems kind of screwed. What's this? He just charges in right now. What on earth is that? Balls to the wall aggression. I was just 5 seconds ago saying he's screwed. We're going to stack Sorlag on Evil, and then Fazz just runs in after taking a direct rocket.
He was screwed.
How does that make sense?
Because he had Ghost Walk off cooldown. He knew he could push in, and he knew he would do a massive amount of damage. It was one of those balls that move, and it caught Evil off guard. It was a kind of a last chance saloon for Fazz because he was being pressured all over the map.
Oh my god. Taking a lot of damage in the back there was Evil. I don't think, no, he didn't get connected by the acid. I think, no, actually, maybe he did. And this is the Fazz aggression coming in, finishing off Evil. The Mega's in 12 seconds. Fazz is somewhat vulnerable here. If he doesn't pick up some health soon, he will do that immediately. And he's got just enough time to get onto one of the big items.
Yeah.
It's going to be split between the two players, however.
Fazz should have gone down, extremely unlucky. I think he clipped something on the ceiling, and Evil's rocket just missed. But I like those plays. Again, it's my kind of play style, going pretty risky, diving in a little bit. Dangerous at Quakecon in a tournament like this, but when it pays off, it feels really good.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. There's some of those effective styles. Sometimes you could, like, there's always a risk, and you can't always win the risk, but you can't be deterred from playing what is the optimal strategy for your style. So sometimes you just got to go for it, even if it's that one tournament per year.
Exactly, and it's like, I think we were speaking together off screen there. If you don't play that style, you're going to kick yourself. It's what you're used to in practice, and it's what's working out. Just, you have to go for it. You have to take those risks sometimes, and it's nice to see that Fazz is doing that. But now Evil has managed to stabilize and done a great job of keeping away from Fazz, because he's tried to keep the pressure on.
Oh, this is a sneaky play from Fazz. The spin is going to land on Evil. He looks
dead.
He looks very dead. Oh, melting away, but the bubbles to save him up the jumper. That's not a good move, but for Fazz, he's going to be loving it. Gets himself another pick off. That's just down to the Sorlag now for Evil.
Yeah, we've seen Sorlag on both sides struggling.
Oh, that's a good connection of damage there from Fazz. Evil's in a lot of trouble. Another lick of the LG there to keep the pressure up.
Yeah, and like I was just saying, we've seen the Sorlag struggle for both players. The new patch with the power of the lightning gun, particularly with the tracking, Fazz's aim has been on point as well. I could definitely see the Sorlag falling off the meta in this tournament, just because it's getting absolutely messed up by the lightning gun. But the spit is still very annoying as well, and powerful still.
And there goes the spit, and into the LG, and Evil absolutely fisted by Fazz's Sorlag there as we go 2-0 now.
No, one more.
Prepare to fight.
Oh, that was Fazz. Sorry, my bad. My bone melted for a second.
Round begins in.
Everything got melted. The spit went everywhere.
It did. I for some reason I thought that we were on Evil's POV. I have no idea why.
Good damage to this X. Come on.
Sorry, that's really bad.
And you're gonna get fired.
Oh wow.
It's fine. It's fine. I won't tell anyone.
Stream B.
Yeah, already on the B stream. Already fired, of course. Good connection from the acid. Looks like Fazz wants to fire up Evil with that LG of his, and he's going to melt him.
I don't know how Evil did so much damage after getting caught completely off guard. It is that situation on the map, and it's a bit careless by Evil, where if you don't have the rocket spawn, it's pretty much definitely going to be camped. Fazz did a good job of hiding around the corner, but Evil ran straight into it.
That rocket was close, man. If he'd released that slightly earlier, that would have been a very dead Evil, perhaps. But Evil is down to his last two champions after losing that one. Fazz must feel pretty good. He's already up 2 rounds. Oh, getting caught there. Has to be very careful. Avoids the prediction rocket of Evil there around the corner, but Fazz doesn't really have access to... Well, this is a good solution for not having access to the heavy. That was what I was worried about.
That was really innovative play, something I was particularly thinking about doing as well. Sorlag obviously with a much bigger stack doesn't take that much damage, but I think we have to see Evil's championship qualities coming out from him now. We know he has them. He's obviously a great player, hasn't been so prolific in Quake Champions yet, and this is the time he needs to come to the fore.
Oh, gets a great connection with the spit. Forces Evil to use the Dire Orb there, but Fazz will make it work. He's looking absolutely phenomenal right now on this map. Corrupted Keep seems to be... Should be Fazz's keep.
It should be Fazz's keep. He's surprising me. The first round looked all Evil, and a couple of silly decisions cost him. Second round, Fazz stepped it up, and once again here, a couple of really solid traps, keeping Evil down to his last champion, and he's pushing in for some serious damage.
Ooh, the Ghost Walk comes in, and Fazz will go down.
Nice. Really nice. Yeah, I like seeing aggressive Ghost Walks. I think it's underutilized if you're just keeping it for defense, so perfect play.
Yeah, the few duels I played, it's always for offense. Oh, the pop-up! This is problematic. Evil's down to 23, but he does a great deal of damage there. But still, looks like Fazz beat it to the point. Oh my god, how was he alive? 8 points of health. Picks up the heavy now as he tries to escape. Fazz knows he's weak, but Fazz can't possibly push the issue. He himself got down quite low, and
Evil's crazy. I was willing him not to go. I was certain he was going to die, but
that's the last hero.
Exactly. It somehow paid off.
Oh man.
Play to win, man. Play to win.
Seriously, that is what Evil's about. He is that mentality through and through. That's why he can win tournaments. He's not afraid of anything. His back is against the wall right now. Last champion. Oh, that's a good connection. 43 damage done. Knocks Evil away.
He plays to win, and this is perhaps a slight downfall in Quake Champions in that it's a much more effective style in Quake Live. But if it doesn't work out in Quake Champions, you can see what happens. You just go down to your last champion at the end of the day.
And here it comes, Fazz going for the Mega, locking Evil away, forcing him back through to the light, through to the heavy position, and that's where Fazz wants him. Coming in with the speed of Anarchy, and with the fury of the rocket launcher, but the force of the Ghost Walk misses out on the heavy. Now Fazz could be in trouble with this Anarchy. He's got to get to safety, he's got to stack back up, but Evil surely is hot on his heels.
What a well-timed Ghost Walk coming out of Evil there. Rocket went through the smoke puff as he disappeared. Houdini-esque.
And now Fazz is starting to stack up a bit more. He's got himself a light. He's managed to evade Evil, who was pressing the issue, knowing that Fazz was weak, but you can't overextend here. You've still got to pick up items, still have to maintain positional superiority.
The problem Evil's facing now is that he's finding it difficult to actually get any damage on Fazz outside of the item pickups, and that's where Fazz is taking the initiative. Evil needs to try and get a few more aggressive positions. I know he's weak, but he also only has, he does have 1 minute to go.
Evil doing a good job keeping Fazz down at the moment. Might be able to get himself onto the next heavy and trying to also pressure the Mega as well. Could even get a kill here potentially. Fazz
that was lucky.
has to go for the heavy now. He's committed.
Yeah, that was very lucky for Evil because that could well have been direct. 25 seconds gone. 30 to go now.
The Fazz is definitely playing defense here. Massive defense, trying to run that clock down. Can Evil do it again? Can he do it a second time?
We need one of those final clutch Evil plays.
Last time it was a rocket pop to rail combo that got Evil from a map losing position into a win.
15 seconds. This is the most usual camping position. This is where he should be checking right now. Everybody comes here.
And also Anarchy.
He's gone. Anarchy's too quick.
Yeah, he's too quick. He can use his rocket jumps as well, potentially, to get that additional speed. And
that is GG.
Gonna be the GG Fazz. 3-0, making it look very easy. In fact, there should be a statue erected for him and his performance there on the corrupted keep. Evil just couldn't quite seem to get his number. Fazz looks really dominant.
I felt very confident for Evil going into the first round. And then, just thinking back, there was a few very strange decisions, like standing around for the Mega, being
went
very,
really
very stubborn.
and
like,
so on.
it's not Quake Live. You don't have to bully your way in. If it's not in your favor, just leave it. Simple as that. And that cost him. Then trying to push out, when just after he stabilized, we were saying how good he was playing, he then tries to push into a narrow doorway as a Nyx with an Anarchy on the other side, who, if he wants to, can retreat and heal up with the ability. And after that, he just crumbled a little bit. Fazz played well.